Hello, everyone. It's me. It's PrimeTime Moff, and I am joined as ever by the wonderful, by the handsome, by the man who collects far too many primes, including Tatty primes from Transformers One.
Hey,
Yeah, he is Oddimus Prime.
hello.
Um, and now, whether you're watching us or indeed listening to us, thank you for joining us this week in our weekly show, Transformers 84 to 24, 40 years of rolling out a show in the year of the brand's 40th anniversary. We are looking back over the vast, vast history of the Transformers that we probably didn't realize was quite as vast until we really get to it. So if you're new to the show, we're just covering each year in detail, looking at the toys, the movies, the cartoons, the comics. We can't cover everything. There's some big things we miss out, but we cover a lot. So sit down, relax, listen, watch, enjoy what we're going along with. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. Yes, all good. Wearing a Shockwave t-shirt today, not Optimus. Nice all Lucan's tees. Um, yeah, I went downstairs in this, and my missus just said, "Purple is not your color." So,
Oh,
um,
love is.
yeah, exactly. There we go. Anyway, yeah, no, other than that, all good. Been looking forward to going to see Transformers One again, which I'm still disappointed has been an incredible flop, which is very, very disappointing. If you haven't seen it, please go and see it. I want sequels.
Yeah, and I think you have to wait till it comes to its conclusion to see how it actually does. I'm
Yeah,
not sure how much the UK release is going to change the story of it so far, like in terms of financials. But um, it's not terrible. It's just I think the expectation of what they set for it to need a sequel was quite high. Like there was when that article first came out, it said it's going to have a record September opening, and they went, but we need more for it to be a sequel. Well, hold on, like you shouldn't have said it for September. A doggy.
yeah, the dogs
You shouldn't
decide
have said it
time.
for September one then because you've set yourself up for failure. Like so, you can't have your cake and eat it. So I don't know. I often think when they say these things, it's the let's try and make people go see it. So I think there's an aspect of that. I think that actually, at the end of the day, they'll look and go, Transformers is not, especially films like this are not just about the box office. It's about the whole. What does the whole bit do for the business? So for the business sense, does it bring enough toy money in? Does it bring enough other merch in? That'll be the big catalyst of whether it gets a sequel.
Yeah,
The bottom dollar figure is not going to be the be all and end all. But like you, I want to see sequels. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. I'm like you. I'm going to go see it again next weekend. I'm taking the
mhm.
family to see it. I'm going to go see it in 3D because there's a giveaway for cards. So I've said to the wife that her and I need to book separately so that I can hopefully get two cards. So it doesn't say it's per ticket; it says per booking. So I said, you book one of the kids, I'll book one of the kids, and we'll do it separate. And hopefully we end up at different seating in in the theatre.
Cinema are giving away character masks, so
Ooh,
I might have to try and get
that's the
myself an
try and get one.
Optimus, which
But I
means I
do
might have
think
to go 4 times.
Well, see, I'm thinking I'll go at least one more after that. I've talked before. I like it. I go to cinema myself. I think this one will be one I want to go myself, just to kind of try and look for who's who. I was reminded last night we watched Deadpool Wolverine, and my wife, I forget how much she goes, and who's he? She don't know who that is. She don't do this. And I've told her if she does that to me, I actually paused the film last night and said, if you're going to do this, I'm not watching it with you. I was like, just sit and enjoy it. Like anything you're asking about a film, I only know because I've seen the film. So watch the film. And I said, if you do this to me in Transformers, I will sit in a separate seat away from you. But I can't say that to the two children. So we'll see.
No, no, that's fair. Yeah,
Right.
no, I'm going tomorrow on my own. But yeah, it's funny because talking about this obviously links into Transformers 2007, which was last year, and by this point the film had made like loads of money. And then there was no, I'm sure the sequel had been announced by 2008 because it came out only a year or two later. So yeah,
They quickly responded. I mean, that made stupid money. Like
yeah, yeah,
the franchise in itself does well. Like look at Bumblebee didn't do great financially.
yeah.
And we talked about this before, I'm sure, but the finances of the film don't, or the financial success of the film doesn't always replicate the story bit of it. Transformers 1986 did not do financially well. So it's, you know, is this going to do better than Transformers 1986? Is this going to be the most successful animated Transformers movie? Probably. I'd be shocked. I think it probably has already.
Yeah, I
That's
think
what they're doing.
it's already made
But
more money than the
I
original
don't
one.
know. It doesn't concern me as much as I think it's concerning others in regards to whether this will get a sequel or not. If I'm honest, there are enough hints in the interviews I've listened to that they clearly have a desire for something else anyway. And actually, Rise of the Beast didn't do great. G.I. Joe didn't do great, but they're still going ahead with G.I. Joe Transformers movie. So
Yeah.
I again, I think there's more to it than just the box office, and I don't
Oh,
think
definitely.
that's the be all and end all. It's the purpose of all these is to sell toys. The movies, the cartoons,
They want to
comics are
sell
all
us
to sell
tat like
toys.
this.
Yeah, you alone are making sure we get another film. More crappy Optimus Prime figures.
Also, a Megatron as well.
Yeah, that balances out. That
Yeah,
balances out.
exactly. Come on now.
So let's talk about the year we're here to talk about, and we're
Yes.
talking about 2008. So we're throwing ourselves back into our journey through the years. The last year, 2007, we saw the start of something. I'm going to go into my favorite bit of it, and then we're going to go through the rest. My favorite part of this year is always going to be Transformers animated. We saw it launch in 2007 at a time where the movie kicked off, and that had a massive focus, right? So like you couldn't ignore the film in 2007. Like it was everywhere. Transformers Animated had a similar feeling and reaction, I think, as 2007. So the first 2007 film, had, well, it's not my Transformers, but I'm going to give it a bash. And then it was like, oh, actually, this is pretty cool. I think Animated very much had that. I think people were very against it leading into it.
Mm.
I would say that I would put a wager on that people didn't really give it the chance it deserved in 2007. It wasn't until it did a handful of stuff and buzz got around about it of like, actually, there's some really cool stuff in this. You should check this out. And I would say that kicks off in 2008. What's your thoughts on memory on Transformers animated? I know we
Well,
touched on it last week.
I said last week, I watched the pilot movie and I wasn't sold on it. I think there were too many things that from the outset I didn't gel with immediately. I wasn't a massive fan of, I mean, I love David Kaye, but I wasn't a massive fan of that version of Optimus. He was very, very different. He wasn't particularly, well, he was heroic, but he wasn't like a leader per se, apart from a leader of that small sect of Autobots. And yeah, I don't know, it just wasn't primey enough for me. Um, so there was that sort of aspect of it, but also I wasn't massively sold on the designs immediately. It wasn't really till the toys came along that I was like, actually, these are pretty good. And it was the first time we had a grumpy Ratchet, which works. Don't get me wrong, and
Yes, yeah.
that's sort of perpetuated. But I don't know. As I said, I just didn't gel with it to start off with. As you say, lots of people sort of felt the same, but I did get into it later. But it was quite a few years after that I actually watched it properly all the way through. So a lot of my opinions on this are based on watching it in about 2012. But that's fine. Yeah, we'll talk about the toys later, but the show itself, when I actually started getting into it and gelled more with the 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 look and feel of it and the stories they were telling, you had an overarching story, which is something that again sort of started off in the Unicorn trilogy kind of Transformers cartoons. So you still had your sort of short form single episodes, but there's the long overarching thread with Megatron's head, which also sort of carried over into some of the live action films, that sort of idea. So that's quite interesting.
Uh, it's interesting because you're saying the head. It just reminded me of a line, and I'm sure we talked about this last week, but the back in the 2007 movie where it talk about, all our current technology is built
Yeah,
from
yeah,
memory
yeah,
one. And actually, like, that's what some Dick does in animated, like,
yeah,
he uses that for the basis of all the different technology he uses and
yeah,
harvest Megatron's big giant head.
yeah. Um, so yeah, again, but once you actually got into it and the story sort of it was less an annoying. It was an annoying human character with Autobots that weren't familiar, and the main Decepticons were. Well, I mean, there's only really Starscream. There was no Soundwave had like a guest star in one episode. There was no Shockwave until later on, so it was really just Starscream and a bunch of. Uh, the Decepticons weren't a big thing.
No, they weren't the force or the
Yeah,
threat that they are in other versions of the
yeah, and
Transformers.
I think those aspects of it, again, at the start, before I actually got into it, they didn't sit as well with me. I think it was too different. I think
Yeah,
Optimus Prime wasn't even a truck. He was a fire vehicle.
yeah, but it was a fire vehicle in RID,
Yeah,
and
but
RID Optimus is
he's a
brown.
weird looking fire vehicle.
I know.
Anyway,
I think there's also the aspect like Prime isn't the Prime that we know.
no,
It's an interest. They almost get away with calling him Orion Pax. Like
yeah,
it's
they
more an
should have
Orion
really.
Pax, yeah, than an Optimus Prime. And he's clearly got potential.
Yeah,
But it's a very different aspect. You've got the kind of more Sentinel and Ultra Magnus, and they're kind of seen as the bit, whereas Optimus Prime's, he's captain of a space cruiser. That's it. Like it's not the commander of the Optimus, the Autobots. The other bit that kicks off in this kind of point, 2007, 2008, with the live action movie in this, is the emergence of Bumblebee as being like not the be all and end all character, but being such a forefront character. Prior to this, it's just a throwaway character like throughout. Like he's not got the same gravitas or same importance as he does. From this point onwards, like
mm.
Bumblebee becomes suddenly like as I wouldn't say as important as Optimus because I know you'd get upset by that, but
No,
he's a forefront in a lot of the franchises going forward post this point.
yeah, I mean, Bumblebee definitely from this point, from the 2007 movie and from animated, he was definitely the connection character, the character that was supposed to be the one that the kids could connect to, kids specifically because it
Yeah.
is aimed at children. Optimus is Optimus, so he's always cool and everybody's always going to like Optimus. But they had yeah, Bumblebee definitely became the like the shoe-in character, the one who was most like a human and the one who
Yes.
most liked the humans. And yes, obviously, with them was for sale everywhere and had 4 bajillion versions. Now, I will notice this is a slight segue that there isn't a an Optimus Prime line carrying on at the moment, but there is a Bumblebee line. The buzzworthy Bumblebee line is still a thing. Should be
No,
an Optimus
that's
Prime
interesting.
line.
That's a good point. Now, but I do think he's the character the kids. I think Optimus is probably the one that a lot of the grown ups relate to, especially like us that grew up with Transformers. We'll relate to Optimus Prime, but the kids really relate to Bumblebee. Yes, both of my kids, Bumblebee was their favorite.
Yeah.
Jamie's grown up and realised that Bumblebee's shit and is now not his favourite, but he's still in his wee shelf for Transformers. Still got like 3 Bumblebees, and then he's got like Soundwave's his favourite now, which is logical. And it's right. Sean's just Bumblebee. Like he's just Bumblebee.
Shockwave's
I know.
logical. Um,
But the other one, like so, the character who in this show is my favourite is also my Jamie's favourite, and it's a new character, and that is Bulkhead. Bulkhead is absolutely fantastic. And we'll talk about toys and the toys bit. And I didn't pick the leader Bumblebee as my favourite toy, and I easily could have because it's got his cat. See, because it's got a voice chip. This
mm,
this bit, his the character of him is just fantastic. We just recently watched the first episodes again, and as we're watching it, Jamie says to Sean, "Watch, have you seen this toy do the voice?" He brings over the toy, and it's it just after he'd done the show went, "Sorry, my bad." Not gonna try the accent. And he pressed it, and the toy did the same bit, and the three of us were wetting ourselves laughing. But actually, it delivers so well. The
Mm.
character is just there's something so lovable about Bulkhead.
Yeah,
He's the idiot. He's like the Grimlock almost. Like
yeah,
that goofy. He's not the most graceful of characters. There's just something about him, and I know a lot of people really enjoy the Bulkhead character. He obviously really only gets delivered in Prime thereafter. It's an interesting bit that he was like that's really popular. Transfers over at Prime, then kind of disappears again. It's a shame. I'd like to see him come back in something newer.
yeah. I mean, well, we had Bulkhead in. Yeah, so it was just animated in Prime, wasn't it? He hasn't. I don't think he turned up in Cyberverse Adventures, but I haven't really watched it, so I can't
No, I don't think he did.
say for certain. Or if he did, maybe it was a background character. Um, but yeah, no, Bulkhead. He's a great character. He was an amazing addition to this, and as I mentioned, I actually watched Prime before I watched animated, so Prime was my real introduction to Bulkhead. But then he's just such a lovable character in both shows.
Yes,
Just a
he
big
is.
friendly giant who's also
Yeah.
a badass.
Yeah. I think also interestingly, as you said, you pointed out the fact that they kind of change how they portray Ratchet. But the other aspect is, if you think back to the original Transformers show, even in the very first episode, there's a bigger cast of characters than there is
Oh
in
yeah.
this, and it evolves and evolves and evolves to
Mhm.
ridiculous amount. I know we know that Transformers original show was all about the selling toys.
Yeah.
I can't speak of the Unicron trilogy because I never really watched them, but this is a proper small core
Yeah.
cast. It developed the characters out. Ratchet got a real development of who he was. You understood, you seen him. He was kind of like the cup role, the old grizzled vet that's just like,
Yeah.
oh, these kids going to just do your work and go on with it. And I think I probably resonate more with him now.
Yeah.
And then Prowl's a very different Prowl to what we're known from
Yes.
G1, but still equally a really badass Prowl. Like, he is proper badass in animated.
Yeah, I think another thing that again, I did a very G1er kind of thing in when I first watched it, and it was like Prime doesn't look and sound like Prime, and isn't acting like Prime. Bumblebee's annoying. Ratchet's grumpy and isn't the same as he was in G1 because in G1 effectively he didn't really have that good of a character. He was just
No,
the
he really
medic.
did.
He didn't really do anything.
No, no.
And Bulkhead, he's new. I don't really understand him, and none of the Decepticons are in it. I hate this, but the idea of having the smaller core group of characters, which is this and the 2007 movie, are the first times we get that in the franchise, really, because all the other versions you've got multiple characters or many more characters sort of in from the get-go. I mean, possibly RID 2001 is another one that had a smaller cast of characters, but other than that, it's always been just loads and loads of bots, different ones turning up every episode, but they've always been there. It's not like the Beast Wars model where you have like the pods arriving to introduce a new
Yeah.
character, which is still a genius way of doing it. But yeah, yeah,
Right. So we know our core characters throughout it. They start to, as you say, bring in other characters, bring in other concepts, some really clever things.
hmm
What I appreciate about Transformers animated is that they would bring aspects of the old show stroke toys in and do them in different ways, and nothing is more obvious to that than when they bring in the headmaster gimmick.
yes,
Oh, I can't remember his name now. I was literally when I was talking about the Bulkhead toy, I could tell you his name. I can't remember his name now. Anyway, so they bring in the headmaster gimmick, and it's more that the kind of head takes over the body, which is it realised in, and we'll talk about toys, but realised in toy format as well. But just a fun, different way to think about how the headmaster gimmick was from the previous one. It's not about them collaborating and becoming a unit. It's like, I'm going to take your body over, and it's like really clever, really smart. Then they start to bring in some characters and some amazing voice actors for said characters as well.
Mm.
So we have in the kind of second season we have Rick Gar appears, who is
Hmm.
voiced by the wonderful Weird Al Yankovic with a throwback to 1986, which is just great. We have Rodimus Prime, again, another throwback because they bring Judd Nelson back. I think that aspect of this show, and I said this when we talked about the open episode, how it used like the G1 cartoon is the history books, but I was right. Also it then makes like, is this a different Optimus Prime, a different Ratchet? That adds questions in. Nobody ever asks them or answers them because it's just like doesn't matter. Let's just it's just a fun wee thing. But actually, like bringing in the voice actors from the 1986 movie was a really genius, really simplistic way to just have that connection. It's not a, oh, look at me, look at me, look at it. It just has that bit of fun about it. And then it also brings in some amazing other voice actors to play other. Oh, hold on, we're talking about Autobots getting new characters. Another new character that very much has had several versions
Mm.
thereafter. Lockdown.
Lockdown,
Lockdown
yeah.
is
Yeah.
introduced in this, and the Lockdown Ratchet, that first appearance of Lockdown, that episode is fantastic. Like some of this the episodes really just stand out in really, really good storytelling. And they what they cleverly did is there's quite a few bits where they just set up story arcs that are like, let's just tease it just now and then we'll come back to it. It's like they had a clear, we're wanting to get this many kind of episodes out, hopefully. But yeah, really good ones. The other two that we have noted are George Takei as is in it and Fred Willard's in it. Fred Willard's in it, Swindle.
It
But
was
some really good guest
yeah,
starring in there.
amazing. Yeah, no, I didn't actually twig that Fred Willard was Swindle. It's only when I was researching, and then it's like, oh yeah, of course he is. Fred Willard is. But yeah, George Takei, his first of two Transformers voice roles.
Who's the other one?
He was Alpha Trion in Prime.
Is he? I don't
Yeah.
know. I
Ah.
maybe didn't know that. I don't remember. So any kind of standouts for you and the kind of episodes that aired at this point? It's actually
uh,
when I'm looking through the kind of list of them, I'm like, wow.
I mean there's the what is it the one with the Constructicons? Is that
Instructicons are hilarious.
they
Like,
are there's
so
yeah
disappointing whenever it toys at them, but they're just, is it New Yorker kind of accents?
yeah
Kind
they're
of
just
pop
sort
up.
of Brooklyn kind of yeah they're really good. Um, any of the stuff I really like the stuff on Cybertron, the stuff with the Elite Guard,
Yes.
and that whole sort of storyline that was going on there with Shockwave as the spy.
Yeah.
I've forgotten what his name was, and he wasn't Shockwave.
No.
My brain's
So there you
saying
go.
lockdown, but I
I
know it's
remember
not
kind of similar
lockdown.
bits of like,
Um,
oh, I just remember. I'm trying to think of names, and then I remember another character that I want to talk about. But I'll let you you finish because I just
oh.
remembered one. I'm like, how we need to talk about.
But also now I might be moving to season three territory, but the the Shockwave story, and when Blur finds out that he's Shockwave, so he just gets killed, turned into a cube. Um,
Blur's a great character in this.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Like, honestly, some of the characters are just so well delivered, and I think there's traits that come into them that take a wee bit from the 80s stuff, but then actually change how we think of the characters going forward.
Yeah, they have a lot more character. The
Yeah.
characters have more character in this than they have in some of the other versions, which is which is always a good thing.
The other characters I thought were fantastic. Blitzwing, what a fun way to deliver a triple changer. Like again, talk about bringing stuff from the 80s out and going, right, how are we going to change this around? Like, absolutely fantastic. And he's not this year's toy, but there's a nudge of that toy in the Brilliant 30s, was it, the Blitzwing, that
Yeah,
has the animated third head in it, which I just think
yeah.
is fantastic. Like, um, but yeah, so the Decepticons, whilst maybe not at the size of the Decepticon army they once were, absolutely have some like great fun characters in them. And there are, like the Soundwave character in it is really interesting. The Christmas bit where they're giving all the wee Soundwave toys away. There's so many fun bits of how they deliver stuff. So I think that overall, like I look back and I would say Transformers animated might be my favorite of the shows
Mm.
because it just makes me. And it's not I'm saying it's the best of the shows. I think Prime's the best of the shows, but I think animated's my most favorite to watch because it's just fun
Yeah.
throughout. I think there's bits of Cyberverse really stand out to me as really good ones. I think RID has got stuff. Animated as a whole, there's no point where I'm like, oh, I just wish we skipped to season 3. Like I think it's got really kind of good stories throughout, and the characters are fantastic. I even like Bumblebee.
Yeah.
But at that point, I suppose we didn't have the overwhelmingness of Bumblebee that we were
No.
kind of getting sick of him yet. But
And he still talked. So
I still talk to you.
yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, so let's move on for the comics. Excellent comics from the cartoon. Let's talk about comics. So the comics again, a huge era. We're really into the IDW stuff at this point, and there's some absolute standouts that get dropped in this year. We're not going to talk through every single thing that's there, but there's some really good. The Spotlight stuff I like because the Spotlight stuff grabbed some characters that previously maybe didn't have a kind of lot shown, but they kind of then bring some stuff in. The Wheelie one I remember being really good and really interesting. Double Dealer, kind of Hardhead.
Mm.
Then you've got some longer kind of ones that get a bit of a storytelling. So like All Hail Megatron, which I think was in total like 12 issues, had its first handful of issues in this year. You've got Maximum Dinobox kicks off,
Yeah.
two really good ones. Any jump out to you in a kind of remembering
Oh,
that being
definitely
good?
all hail Megatron. That story arc, it was the next uh sort of mini series on from the ones that had come previously. And yeah, because we're still without an ongoing series at the moment. Everything is mini series, which is I really liked that way of doing things, to be honest.
Yeah,
That
I think
that
it
that
worked really
worked.
well for the purpose of picking up graphic novels and stuff as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Although All Hail Megatron was the first one where I remember trying to pick up different, or other than Dreamwave, where I picked up every comic
Mm.
cover I could get. All Hail Megatron was the first one where I was like, there's some really nice covers in this. I wanted to try and pick some of these up. Some really nice bits of artwork that really jumped out. But yeah,
Yeah, they're just really. It's just such a great storyline. And having the Decepticons effectively win for for a change and all but take over the Earth. It was really, really, really good, really well done, and set the tone for the rest of the comics moving forward and the relationship between the humans and the Autobots and the Decepticons. And yeah, it was such a yeah, just awesome, and looked really good as well. The art on those was awesome.
uh, some of the IDW stuff is just outstanding, and it always makes me sad that with Dreamwave there was loads of posters, loads of lenticular stuff available, and then we just didn't really get that with IDW. And actually,
No.
there's so much really nice artwork that I would love to have in kind of some form, but there's probably too much. Like let's be honest, but it would be cool to have some of that stuff. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap up for now because
Hmm.
we've still got to then talk about the toys. And as we kind of announced last week and we kind of launched off for last week, we are splitting them up into two just to give people a bit of a break because it is crazy. It's not quite as crazy this year for toys as it was in 2007,
Still quite
but
crazy.
there's still quite a lot. So it's good to kind of split things up. So this will drop on a Sunday with the toys dropping on the Monday. So thank you very much, Simon, for chatting me through, which was a great walk down memory lane. Realistically, we kind of focused on animated, but I think that's right because it's such
Mhm.
a good, fun show. And then kind of touched a wee bit on the comics. Not a lot of it, other things, not really video games and stuff at this point, but I think when we get further down the line, there's going to be so much more in video games and merch and stuff that we can have fun to chat about as well. Well, thank you very much for our look back through 2008. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, we just ask you please like, subscribe, turn on your notifications to ensure you don't miss any of the incredible journey. Remember, there's loads of extra wee content as well. Lots more kind of appearing on the channel through shorts, We've kind of done some new things recently. There's going to be retro reviews. There's the Talking Robots Tuesday. There's loads of fun stuff there. So make sure you subscribe and keep on your notifications to make sure you don't miss anything on this incredible journey as we go through the 40 years of Transformers. But that's all from PTTV today. See you again soon.
Bye.